We are back. Thanks for joining us. Got a lot of ground to cover. Very exciting stuff. It's a big world out there. We're going to dig into the most interesting or dangerous topics. That's the name of the show, Interesting or Dangerous, IOD. That's what the kids are calling it on the streets. So, how was your weekend? I actually hate when people ask me that, but I won't bore you with any personal items, right? That's not why you tuned in. It's boring. Guys, we're really poor. It's sad. It's sad. It's sick. No, but over the weekend I got together with some family, saw some family members I haven't seen in a while, and they said, "Wow, you look great. Have you lost some weight?" And I was like, "Yeah." They're like, "How much weight have you lost?" And I said, "I lost an adjective. I was a humongous fat pig, and now I'm just a fat pig." I used to get very sweaty when eating, and now I get a little sweaty. I don't have to bring a sweat rag with me into restaurants, which is nice. One less thing to worry about. Speaking of going to restaurants, can we address the tipping? This is something that's really damaging society, in my opinion. Everyone wants a tip now. You go to the movie theater, they want a tip for ripping your ticket. You go to the here, they want a tip for that. They want a tip at the gas station. It's like, no, I'm not tipping you for handing me a bagel out the window that I ordered on my phone. No, I'm not tipping you for making me a Subway sandwich. I'm already being dehumanized with how much this costs. I'm not going to tip you. I'm already mad. Don't ask for a tip. And then the other thing is like half these places, they ask for a tip before the service is rendered. You'll order something and they're like, there'll be a tip screen or there'll be a tip jar and they hook you up for the tip. And it's like, I'll would consider tipping you after the service, depending on how it goes. But now it's like, wait, do I tip? Because what's going to be done to my food or service if I don't tip? Is that going to be noted on my order that I didn't tip or the amount of my tip? I don't like this. The greed. People say, well, everything's too expensive. I need the tip because my wage isn't high enough. No, it's not that you're not making enough money. It's that you're spending too much money. Trust me, as a husband and father, I know all about spending too much money. Try to go a day without spending a dollar. It's nearly impossible. People now think that they don't make enough money, and most people that own houses or even rent an apartment, it's more than they need. It's over the top. My parents grew up in houses that were like 1,300 square feet. My wife's mom grew up in a house with three other siblings and two parents, and it was a two-bedroom house with one bathroom. That's why you feel like you don't have any money because you're overspending. Amazon doesn't need to stop at your house every day, okay? You don't need the new iPhone. You can have an old iPhone. You can have a refurbished one. I don't, who do I think I am? Dave Ramsey? It's just a little rant that I've been thinking a lot about because I worked with people. They got hustled into spending too much money either on school, on their lifestyle, and then they get in trouble. And I just want to tell you, stop the spending. Speaking of salaries, there's something that's been gnawing at me for 10 years. And this was something that was addressed by the everyone's favorite president. Not my favorite president, but a lot of people love this guy. They can't get enough of him, and that was Barack Hussein Obama. Barack Hussein. But this is pretty much the last time we heard about this was the income equality between males and females. Do you remember this topic? What was it? They said like women for the same job make 67 cents on the dollar, which we know is not true. You can't have a job posting open, offer a male candidate 100 grand and a female candidate 67 grand. The math doesn't work. But there is somewhere that we do see this phenomenon, and frankly, it's sick. They need to come up with something. They could they need to do something. Something needs to be done. And that is the WNBA. The average salary of an NBA player is $11.9 million. That's a lot. Hey, there's not a lot of people on the roster. How many people can make the cut to the NBA? Not many. No, sir. So the NBA average salary is 11.9 million. The WNBA, any guesses? The WNBA is 120,000. That's crazy, yo. That's a big gap. That's more than 67% less. Why is that? Well, the WNBA hasn't turned a profit. Did you know the WNBA the league started in 1996? I was really blown away when I found that. Found that out. I can't believe it's been around that long. How is it getting by? Who's funding it? Well, the NBA funds it. Now you know. It's on life support by the NBA. I didn't know that. Why are we even talking about the NBA? Well, we're talking about the NBA because of a saga, a saga called Dildogate. What is Dildogate? Where did it come from? Well, let's get into it. We'll go through the timeline because I don't think a lot of people know this, and you want to know it and you want to appreciate it. So, people have been throwing predominantly neon green dildos onto the court during WNBA games, and this has created an outrage. ESPN's talking about it. Trump has weighed in. Uh, Jasmine Crockett has weighed in. Biden's weighed in. CNN, ABC, Fox, they've all weighed in on it. But let's go through the timeline. This all started July 29th, 2025, during an Atlanta and a Golden State game. A dildo was launched onto the court. Staff removed it with a towel. So they were very sanitary. Okay, they were being safe. They used the towel to pick it up. A 23-year-old man was charged with, get this, disorderly conduct, public indecency, indecent exposure, and criminal trespassing. Threw the book at him. All he wanted to do was go viral. That's what he said. Go viral. Well, it did go viral. Mission accomplished. Hilarious. People loved it. They loved it so much, in fact, that we had some copycats. August 1st, Golden State versus the Chicago Sky. A green dildo was launched in the third quarter, removed by referees. No arrests were made. And then on August 5th, we have what I call the triple event. A dildo hit the beautiful and talented Sophie Cunningham at an Indiana versus LA game. No arrests were made. That was event number one. Event number two, Phoenix versus Connecticut. A green dildo was thrown towards the floor. Don't believe it hit a player. An 18-year-old was arrested. Again, the book was thrown. Assault, disorderly conduct, and a public display of sexual material. This dude got assault. I think this is the one that like hit a child or something. New York versus Dallas was the third. Another green dildo. This one was misfired, landed on a concourse. And then August 7th, Atlanta at Chicago. This time a purple dildo, so they broke the pattern, was thrown on the court. This has caused an uproar, an outrage. But this is the spark the WNBA needs. They need people tuning in. If they want to lift that salary from 120 to $11.9 million, we have some work to do. The first thing we need to do is get people to pay attention, right? Dildos being thrown on the court is the attention that we need. So they need to embrace the dildos, love the dildos. Right now they're just giving it lip service, talking about it. Now the response the WNBA had has not been good. They're increasing security and even asking for help from federal law enforcement, and they want to make throwing a dildo on the court a felony. No, that's not the way to do it, folks. Grow a brain. We need to give the people what they want, and this is what the people want. How do I know this is what the people want? Because if you go to X, it's trending all the time. People are tuning into games to see when the dildo is going to be launched. They weren't tuning into the games before. Maybe there was some interest with Caitlin Clark getting beat up by black girls, fist fighting black women on the court. It's like a Waffle House on the court. That created a little bit of interest, but no one was watching games for that. They might be like, well, I'll check the highlights out if they come up on ESPN. I'll see who Caitlin Clark was fighting or getting assaulted by. How many times was she thrown down a game? How many times was her eye poked? But it wasn't the visceral interest we're seeing now. Even I turned on a WNBA game, and I'm not a WNBA guy. I'm not an NBA guy. People aren't going to tune in to see women struggling to get the ball in the hoop for 90 minutes. That's not fun. What is fun is What is fun is Sophie Cunningham going for a layup, getting hit in the face with a dildo. That's funny. That's what the people want. So the NBA has fallen on its face again, fallen on its face, slapped its fans in the face, but not with a dildo, with a hand, a backhand. Now there's even rumors that they might be putting up nets around the field of play. A rumor that they might construct what's being called by fans out there as the Golden Dildome to intercept the projectiles. No, that's wrong. Here's what you do. Take it from me. Listen to me. This is free advice. This will line your pockets. It'll make the WNBA huge. First of all, what we're going to be doing under my plan is we're doing promotional nights where we hand out dildos. Not the full sizers, small ones, foam, not going to hurt anyone. And then at halftime, you roll out a little bucket with a hole in it, try to get the dildo in the hole from your seat, launch it. Anyone who gets one in there gets 25 grand. That's what the folks want. That's what they need. That's what they deserve. Show that live. Don't show women talking about WNBA strategy at halftime during a WNBA game. There is no strategy at a WNBA game. They have a hard enough time getting the ball in the basket. That strategy won. Land your shots. Okay? This isn't the NFL where we're sitting around doing battle plans. Okay? We need to do the basics. No one wants to hear that. What they do want to see is people launching miniature dildos for $25,000. Shirts, bumper stickers, mugs, hats. Include the dildo. Embrace the dildo. I want to see shirts sold at WNBA games that say, I went to a WNBA game, all I got was a stupid shirt and a dildo. That's what people like. It's funny. It's fair. People say you're making a mockery of the WNBA. No, it is already a mockery. Can we have it be a fun mockery that people want to take part in? Here's something else. You could do a bonus. You could have bounties on players. Hit them with a dildo. It's hits Sophie Cunningham in the face night. I think that would draw some people. We want eyes on, okay? That's huge. The WNBA deserves it. All I'm trying to do is help women and I'm trying to advance women. I want them to make more money. I'm not the bad guy here. I am not the bad guy. Speaking of women and gender roles, have you seen this? Have you heard about this? Halle Berry used to be, I guess she was married to a numerous amount of men, right? 3 or 4 men. She was formerly married to former MLB slugger David Justice. He used to play for the Braves, I think, and then he played for the Yankees. They were married for, I think, 4 years. Didn't work out. Sad. It's always sad when a relationship doesn't work out. Two famous people generally doesn't work out. He said in a recent interview that the marriage didn't work out because she wasn't cooking and cleaning. David, give me a fucking break. You don't marry a woman. You don't get involved with a woman like Halle Berry for her cooking and cleaning. Come on, bro, that's sick. You get involved with a woman like that because you want to make love to her. We all seen. We all saw Swordfish. That was the only reason anyone saw Swordfish, is to see Halle Berry naked, to see the titties. And you had it, but you threw it away because of the cooking and cleaning. Could you get a maid? Get a fucking maid, dude. Get a personal chef. You're a former MLB slugger. That's what your wiki says. Certainly a former MLB slugger could hire staff. Don't have Halle Berry cooking and cleaning. Come on now. Bad take, dude. Bad. Very bad. Not a good take, certainly. Speaking of takes, Howard Stern, he says he's not going without a fight. He said, I have just begun to be a shock jock. I have just begun to fight. I have just begun to broadcast. That's what he says. He says, hey, if it's not going to work out at Sirius, I'll go somewhere else. Where's he going to go? Is he going to try a podcast? That makes the most sense. That's what he should have done long, long ago. Is anyone buying Sirius for $19 to $29 a month? I don't. Folks, you get one of me for free a week. For free. I don't even have ads. I do it for the thrill of the game, the love of the game. Laughter is the currency. I can hear you giggling out there. Put my head out the window. I don't think Howie's going to be able to pull this off. Why? Well, first of all, he's incredibly rich now. He lives on a compound in the Hamptons. Not just a house in the Hamptons, a compound where he locked down during COVID. He lives in a bubble that is completely separate from reality. He's out of touch, to say the very least. If you think that Madonna, Kamala Harris, and Joe Biden are cool and people that you want to hang out with and support, if you think that that is what people like, maybe you need to sell. If he wants to be successful, sell the compound in the Hamptons and like go live somewhere else. Go live in Philadelphia. Go live in New Jersey. Out with the folks, because that's who was listening to Howard Stern. Hate to break the news to him, but it wasn't the intellectuals. It wasn't the top 1% of society. It wasn't the, how you say, it was the working class people. That's who supports people like Howard Stern. That's who supports people such as myself. In order to have time for a podcast, you have to have time for a podcast to listen to it. So you're either driving to work a long distance, trucking, doing some blue collar activities like I used to do, or you have something on in the background to help your brain keep stimulated as you measure and cut all day. Howard Stern doesn't have that. He doesn't. Maybe he did it one time, but I think it's gone. And here's something that wasn't good. Wow. Technical issues. What the hell's new? I need a staff. Please share the show so we can get a staff. Here's what I'm worried about with Howard Stern. If he doesn't hammer it out with Sirius, if he has to go somewhere else and that doesn't work, what's going to happen to the Whack Pack? Where are they going to be housed? How are they going to eat? Who's going to make sure they're taking their meds? What is going to happen to Beetlejuice? What's going to happen to High Pitch Eric? Maybe High Pitch Eric could go back to the Nazi show that Howard Stern sent him to. White power! White power! Great bit. One of Howard's best bits. Some of the other bits that I liked that Howard did was the women. He would bring in strippers with comically sized large breasts. Those were fun. Anyway, long story short, my team has reached out to Sirius. We found a 1-800 number listed on their website. We left a message in the general box. They should be calling back any day. Hopefully, I have something hammered out by late next week at the very latest. I want to hammer it out. I'll do it for a discount. Trust me, I'm not living in the Hamptons. No, I'm living in squalor. I'm sad. It's poor. I'm poor. It's sad, folks. Trust me, I can connect with the everyman. Listen, this isn't a commercial for me. You people didn't come to hear that. You came to hear takes that are so crunchy, so juicy. So here's something I've been thinking deeply about, and I would like to. This is a thought experiment. It's not fully formed, right? It's a thought experiment. So Diddy, Mr. Combs, Frank Black, or whatever his like weird alias he goes by, where he checks into hotels for sex parties, allegedly. Here's what I don't get. So remember back, way back, the media was hyping the Diddy case to the moon. We had live coverage of the feds, local police, Delta Force, special ops, raiding all of his house, you know, made for TV. Machine guns, they were bringing out servers, computers, documents, paperwork at all of his houses. People started to panic. They said, oh my God, there's so many important people that are tied to Diddy. Everyone's going down. This is really, really serious. This is huge. This is bigger than Epstein. Diddy, the musician or whatever he is, fashion guy. Um, and then what happened? They said, then it immediately switched. Once the fear was there, this happened in real time. It looked serious, and then we got into what? We got into the baby oil. That started the trajectory. Trajectory. I had a stroke. That started us down the road of where we are now. So the baby oil, the weird sex stuff, right? Then we went into the trial, and what was the trial all about? What did it all focus around? On both sides. It all focused on P. Diddy's sex life with his girlfriend or whatever. So it went from, hey, this guy's a racketeering, organized crime, shaking people down, laundering money, international. He's basically a James Bond villain to this guy has a weird sex life. He does some unusual things, right? His attorney was like, is my client Mr. Combs, is he a bad person? Yes. Does he have a sordid sex life? Yes. Does he like to buy male prostitutes and let them have sex with his girlfriend while he watches? Yes. Is he an organized crime mafioso, crime boss? No. Is he a criminal? No. Does he deserve jail time? No. So it basically went from him being the don of the mafia to him being someone who has a weird sex life. Did my client beat up his girlfriend in the hallway of a hotel? Yes. Can any of us really say that we haven't done that? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, please raise your hand if you have not got in a physical altercation with your significant other in the hotel hallway. That's what I thought. Everyone's done it. So that's what it went to. It turned into a clown show. So basically it went from that to almost P. Diddy, the eyes of a lot of people, is now the victim. Because now people are saying, well, why did the federal government investigate and put this guy through all this stuff when it was really just his personal life? Should the federal government be investigating someone's personal sex life? Should the federal government be investigating someone's cuck, love for the cuck game? And a lot of people say, no, I don't want the federal government in my bedroom. So now Diddy is cleaned. He's been cleansed. So my theory is this some sort of sheep dipping intelligence thing? So sheep dipping, for those of you who don't know, is like you take someone and then you clean their background. You know, sometimes you give them a new identity. Sometimes you do something similar to this, where it cleans his image. So now he's the victim, and you feel for him because he's a little bit, he's a little hurt with the sex stuff. He's feeling a little vulnerable. And then we forget all about the fact that like all of his houses were wired for video and audio, and they were taking out truckloads of servers and all that. Everyone kind of forgot about that. And now P. Diddy, maybe not, he might do time served. He might even go to jail. He's already planning a comeback tour. His people have reached out to the Trump camp for a pardon. Hopefully Trump doesn't pardon him. That's not what I voted for. That's not what anyone voted for. That's not what people who voted for Kamala Harris or didn't vote voted for. Don't do that. Don't go down that road. No one wants to see that. So he's reached out, the team has reached out, and now he's also planning, I guess, a comeback concert starting at Madison Square Garden. A concert? When was the last time that P. Diddy had a song? The late 90s? Early 2000s? I thought the guy was a producer. Producer, uh, distillery runner or whatever. He's like part owner of some like giant, like InBev or something weird like that. Who knows how he got involved in that? Fashion designer. There's only one musician turned fashion designer that I trust with fashion design, and that is Kanye West. That outfit that he had his Bianco or whatever in at the like at that award show, that was perfect. Completely see through. Loved it. Less is more. Ye knows less is more. What is with ex rappers getting into fashion? That's something that could definitely needs to be looked into. Definitely needs to be looked into. What else do we have on the docket? A little bit of a slow news week. However, I got some bad news to drop on you. Shrek 5, hold on. Shrek 5 has been delayed yet again. We're looking at a 2027 release for Shrek 5. I know you're crushed. It's trending on X. I didn't know that there was a Shrek 2, 3, or 4. But I know it's real sad. It's really sad. And frankly, I don't like that. I don't really watch movies. Does anyone watch movies anymore? New movies? Show of hands. So, one last thing to leave you with. I talk a lot about my gym and my discontent, my bitter discontent for the gym I go to. Yesterday, I went there to work out and I was doing leg press. I don't do squats anymore. My back hurts. Give me a break. I'm an old man. I was doing leg press and a kid walks by with a poo stain in the back of his pants. What do you think about that? A poo stain? Come on. That was about the end of it for me. Not a big poo stain in the pants guy while working out. That was about the end. But listen, guys, I appreciate you stopping by. Share the show. Love the show. Cherish the show like you've never cherished before. We need you in the show. God, do we need you. I think that we've had some fun together. I'm hoping for some big news over the weekend, right? We have Trump meeting up with Poutine in Alaska. Um, the Ukrainian guy is really upset that he's not going. Dude, we run your country. We're funding the government of Ukraine. I think that we have the lion's share of the say of what happens with this Ukrainian deal. We're funding your government, we're funding your military, we're giving you weapons for whatever reason. I think that we're calling the shots at this point. So let's get serious. So we will see what happens over the weekend with Putin and Trump, and I hope it goes well. I want two things to happen with Trump. One is shut down the Ukraine war. It's not fun anymore, folks. I don't know what it's about. Seems to be some kind of money laundering operation. Don't like that. And then shut down the Gaza Palestinian thing. What are we doing? I don't want to invest my tax money into genocides. It's not really my bag. Anyway, so we will touch base on that. next week, which I think will be really fun. I think that we have some AI stuff. Actually, speaking of AI stuff, I did see a story about AI where Google built an AI. Google recently built an AI and it like came down with depression and they had to shut it off. They gave it everything in the world and it was like, I'm a failure, is what it said to them. I've failed and I need to be shut down. And they shut it off. The AI stuff is getting wacky. Anyway, please share the show. Please cherish the show. Sit down tonight, put on a calling hat. Sometimes when I make phone calls, I put on a special hat to make phone calls. That makes sense, right? Sit down, open up your phone, and just start dialing. Just start dialing. Let me know if you need a script on what to say about the show. Bring the show up with family members. Bring it up with strangers on the street. If I'm going to get that Sirius contract, if I'm going to be at the head of the WNBA, I need people to know about it, to know about me and my message. I don't want someone like Gary Vaynerchuk being installed as the marketing director at the WNBA. Do I like Gary? Yes. Do I think it's weird that he grabs 40-year-olds in interviews and calls them babies? It's a little strange. Okay. I will see you next week. God bless.